Hello, it's Alan. Here I am, still chilling in the parking lot before I go into work. Um, Last night I was watching a video by somebody, I forget whose it was, because I watch videos from a few different people, and this trans man mentioned something about anger and the possibility of having increased anger upon beginning to be on testosterone. And this just reminded me that so often I've heard people mention that. Like, I guess my ex-wife, or maybe a couple other people that I talked with as I was deciding to transition, they're like, oh, like, what if you get angry? Or they might say, like, oh, you're probably gonna be all cranky and angry, and that kind of worries me. Or like, what if you get that testosterone rage or something? Or other people have said, like, oh, I met this trans man once who just seemed really angry, and it's testosterone. And that drives me crazy because I do not think that's true at all. It just bothers me that a lot of people have this like stereotype or something that testosterone makes you angry and that trans men are going to be really angry. And no, I mean, I can see how maybe that could happen if you have too much testosterone, like an unhealthy level. Who knows what could happen emotionally? But I'm talking about if you're on a healthy, normal level of testosterone. So, um, what happened for me is that I have not experienced more anger. I mean, in my life before T, I would certainly have times of being quite angry and frustrated, and I think some of that was often connected with anxiety. Like, it would sort of surface in having a temper tantrum sometimes. I would never yell at people, but sometimes I would hit things by myself, never in front of anybody. So anyway, that has not increased since being on T. And in fact, I feel like, come to think of it, maybe I've had fewer of those angry private outbursts for whatever reason. Maybe because I have less anxiety now after transition, just because transitioning made me feel better in general. But anyway, so there are some instances that I can see how other people might interpret that as me being more angry, but it's not, and here's why. So, one example is so at work, I was supposed to get a key to this one building, and for like a new type of job that I had at the same place where I had been working before. And my boss ordered the key. It took like forever for the key to come in, and then when I went to pick it up from the guy who does the keys, it was not the right key. And that happened to me before, like 6 months ago, when I had gotten keys. And when that happened, I was so frustrated. I was like, oh my god, like, what is this guy's deal? Like, is he just stoned all the time or what? And so I emailed the key guy and I was like, so it turns out I got you gave me the wrong key. And actually, every time that I've had to get a key on this campus, there has been an error with it. So that makes me wonder if there's some problem with the process of ordering and giving people keys. So perhaps you need to change something regarding that. And I was a little angry or pissed off at the time that I wrote that. I tried to say it in a polite way, and but then afterwards I felt bad about it. I felt like I didn't really need to go so far as to say that. And then I felt awkward when I went to get the correct key from this guy. So that could be viewed by others as me being more angry, but I don't think that's accurate because I can tell that I felt the same in that situation as I would have felt before T. Because as I said, I totally had times of being angry and frustrated before T. Um, the difference is not that I'm more angry, it's that one thing is that I feel like I tend to act slightly more on impulse now. Nothing drastic. It's not like my personality has changed. It's not like I'm doing all kinds of risky teenage boy stuff. No, it's very subtle, it's very slight. Um, but I do act a little bit more on impulse. Like, for example, I would send that email to that guy without having really thought in depth about how it would feel afterwards and whether that was really the best idea. And then coupled with a little bit more impulse is feeling a little bit more bold. Again, nothing drastic. I still often feel shy, but just sometimes a little bit, I feel a little bit more bold. With this instance with the keys, I thought to myself, like, well, it's a fact. He did mess things up more than once for me when I was trying to get keys. That's a fact. And should that happen? No. The department should work better than that. So, do they need to, or does he need to change something about the key system? Probably. So I thought, well, makes sense. I'll say it. I feel justified in it. Uh, Whereas pre-T, I would have probably thought, um, well, who am I to say that? I don't know anything about how they organize the keys. I'll just sort of play dumb and say, oh, you gave me the wrong key. Can I come back and get the right one? And I think that, I think the difference between then and now is that, well, I mean, I think probably the impulse thing is because of testosterone, but then the boldness issue might be a little bit because of testosterone, but I think also it's because I feel more like myself. I feel more empowered. I feel more self-actualized. So I feel more confident in myself. I feel more confident in things I have to say. So I think what some people might view as trans guys being angry, well, probably some of it might just be anger. I can't speak to anybody else's situation, but I'm pretty sure that some of it might just be that person is being a little bit more confident and bold and outspoken than you were used to them being. So don't just write that off as rage because of testosterone. So, yeah. So, I guess that's all I had to say about that. I'd be interested to hear if anybody else has experiences relating to all this, or insights. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Bye.